Portaro.
It's a 4/2 creature with Undying, definitely one of the better green 6-drops in the format. It has the nice ability that says creatures with power less than Howlgeist's power can't block it. So now both players basically have big unblockable creatures in play. Howlgeist for Portaro and the Intimidate creature for Peter. So far, looking at that, it seems to be to get down into a damage race, with neither player really being able to block each other's creatures.
You would think that Vigilante Justice might prove a critical role at some point in that, either because it will functionally take out one of Steinaa's potential blockers, or just because if you've got a Thatcher Revolt, for example, you can just pile in, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. So Steinaa.
That's a gang of devils for
so that
Steinaa.
changes the math again, because you've got 3 damage to spray around where you want when it dies. Still doesn't get in the way of the Howlgeist, though. Not at the moment.
How many cards?
So Portaro. Looking at.
Of course, if the game will go long, then Steinaa probably has the advantage, with Mad Prophet digging deeper into his deck for his best cards. So Portaro might be able to, well, play some more creatures to trigger his Vigilante Justice. He might be happy to kill off the Mad Prophet if possible, as well as adding some power Word of Geist to the board, which he might be needing. So Howlgeist coming in for 4 damage, putting Steinaa down to 10 already. And yeah, the Borderland Ranger obviously did not want to attack there into a 3/3, no point. Portaro just passing the turn.
He's got 3 cards in hand, the Italian. Same as Steinaa.
Did he choose not to activate his Mad Prophet? That's an interesting play. Mad Prophet works differently from the typical looters, which in the past said draw a card, then discard a card. So you can never really get worse off by activating it. In this case, with Mad Prophet, if you have 3 good cards in your hand that you don't want to lose, yeah, you don't want to discard them and then possibly draw a land.
Sure.
So sometimes not activating is certainly the right play.
So Steinaa 10-15 behind,
Attack.
and he's going to send 2 of his 3. The Gang of Devils and the Heirs of Stromkirk.
He appears to be playing a bit conservatively with the Mad Prophet. Like if it's not going to tap to activate, and it's not going to attack, it's not going to block. I mean, it's nice to bank it, to cash in a land for a fresh spell later on. But also being able to attack and block is also going to play a big role, especially when there are lots of unblockable creatures on the board. You might need those extra points of damage.
Portaro is into single figures at 8. And now a lot rests on the next maybe turn cycle. See whether Steinaa can add to his board. 1, 2, 3 mana in very deliberate fashion. And then untap the same 3 mana in very deliberate fashion.
Did Peter not put a counter on his Heirs of Stromkirk?
We forgot the counter.
Yeah, it
Looks
looks
like
like
it did, yeah.
he indeed didn't yet, but he remembers it now, and it's a mandatory
yes,
ability.
absolutely.
So.
It's when, do. So.
But apparently,
Bloodflow Connoisseur is the addition after 3 mana from Steinaa.
Apparently the counter did not get put on there in the end.
Oh, they
Might
said
this
it
have
was
something to do with
beyond.
these lapsing triggers? If you forget, it's just too late.
We need a current judge for that. I used to be level 1 and would know things like that. We'll get a judge in. Someone will know.
You know the blood flow connoisseur that
Yep.
came down now has the option of sacrificing Gang of Devils at will,
Yep.
giving Peter the option of shooting 3 damage any way he likes, anytime he likes. So Peter, for example, has the option of shooting down the Howlgeist at this point. Might work, but Howlgeist does have Undying, so it will come back to, well, haunt him.
Oh, Frank. Frank. I forgive you, the internets will not. Your reputation as a serious Magic player gone forever. Come back to haunt him, please. Well done. So, the Howlgeist has put Steinaa to 6. Getting to the business end here of game 1.
Lightning Prowess
Yes, I would
on
like
Borderland Ranger.
to start pinging you to death. How about it?
Yeah. With his opponent down to 6 already, that seems like a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like Peter is thinking about possibly responding by sacrificing Gang of Devils to the Bloodfollow Connoisseur.
2 damage to the Borderland Ranger. 1 to the face. Yep, looks like it. Yes, counter on there. Just as we drew it up.
Yeah, because taking out the Borderland Ranger also opens up the possibility of attacking with Mad Prophet and Bloodflow Connoisseur on the next turn. Together with the Heirs of Stormkirk, that is 8 damage in total, so
and
it would be
Portaro is
lethal.
passed with 4 mana up, so he needs something here, because that permanent in the centre of the table on the left, that's a Vigilante Justice, that has no power and toughness. And Steinaa is just trying to work out whether he wants to take the gamble. He is not going to. So he untaps with 3 creatures, currently facing functionally an empty board across the other side, and he has lethal damage should he turn everything sideways, depending on what Portaro has in hand. Steinaa says, turn them all sideways, in we go. And
Yep.
Portaro says, that'll be game then. So, can't always have a super trick. Just at the end, Steinaa's like, yep, well, that was fine then, thank you.
And there also was not much in the format to be afraid of at that point.
mean,
with just red and
You
green
lose
mana.
to the green spell, don't you? The
Terrifying Presence?
The nearly fog.
Yeah, exactly.
You just straight up lose to that.
But it's not like you have another option.
No,
because
sure.
keeping back your creatures still does not allow you to block the Howlgeist.
Yeah.
So, oh well, he could actually block the Howlgeist by now, of course. But still.
But why on earth would you do? Yeah, it's clearly that's what you do. You just go in. If Portaro had had the triumph, that would have been eek.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Good game.
So I find it interesting to see that Peter was not really doing much with his Mad Prophet over the course of the game. He did, well, attack with it in the very last turn, but on the other turns he didn't really activate it often. He didn't attack or block with it.
Yeah, you only
was just
really
sitting there.
but you want it there for when you are drawing land. He didn't draw land. He kept drawing spells. He liked the spells he was drawing. Hey, no problem. Other times you draw the land, you don't like the land, you activate it. It's fine.
Sure, but if he had attacked earlier, well, either he would have dealt some additional points of damage, which could have been huge, or he could have traded with the Borderland Ranger, which in the end would take out that creature that he actually got through his Gang of Devils.
So you felt he was probably a bit overprotective of his Mad Prophet, that he didn't really get full value out of it.
Was my impression.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like the game was not going to last long enough for like mad profit incremental like card quality advantage to play a big role there, especially with the Hullgeist on Portaro's side of the board.
Steinaa's looking for his first Grand Prix top 8, but he has big time experience. He's played on the Danish team both in 2007 and 2010 at the World Championship, that's New York 07, and then in Japan at Chiba in 2010, Denmark 20th and 14th, so in the sort of top third of nations, so which is about where they tend to be most years. As for Portaro, I said that I think he's one of the most improved players in the global game at the moment, and that's certainly borne out by how he's been doing over the last little while, the last sort of 12 months or so. He really has established himself, particularly on the European scene, with quarter-final place at Grand Prix Turin, which was of course won by countryman Antonino de Rosa, also American of course, and then Philadelphia, the event won by his compatriot Samuele Estrati. He was the second Italian in that top 8. People forget that Portaro has a Pro Tour top 8. He is really good at Magic.
So we're off with the second game again. Portaro getting out of the gates quickly with a relatively unassuming Diregraph escort. Protection from zombies.
It might
it actually matter?
Yay!
Did Peter have zombies in his deck?
Well, at least he's black, which is a start.
Let me check.
Frank goes digging through the creature types.
Oh yeah, Butcher Ghoul, there we have it. And the Crypt Keeper, that might actually end up doing quite a bit.
And it might do something early, as we see that they're getting together, paired up. So if he does have an early zombie roadblock, it won't be getting in the way. And Portaro will continue to smash down. Little abilities with big effects, who knew?
So Diregraph Escort and Wandering Wolf are almost definitely going to get in this turn. But there might be a Timberland Ranger coming in to make them even bigger.
Sure. That's good. Less good is the fact that it looks like Portaro may not have a third land. But we'll see as he puts the extra counter on. And then, human frailty.
70?
It kind of makes you wonder at this point, man, I put my counter on the guy that's actually destroyed by the human frailty. Shouldn't I possibly have put it on my Wandering Wolf instead?
Yep.
Still, it seems like a nice play because, I mean, Portaro doesn't know what Peter has in his hand, and if he would have put the counter on that on the Wandering Wolf, he might have lost it to Deathwind as an instant response.
We did see a third land from Portaro, which is good.
Fervent Catar for Peter coming in. He says, your Timberlight Guide cannot block, but you know, I'm actually not gonna attack anyway. You have more creatures than I have, I'm already at a lower life total, I would just like to block your Wandering Wolf.
Yep. So Portaro looks at the board, 17-20 ahead, but 1-0 behind. And again, he's going to use his mana in his first main phase of the turn. It's not that often you see that, but good reason to. Here's Handwheel Lancer, pair them up, first strike, let's go back to the beats.
Yeah, now Peter doesn't have any good blocks. He can trade his 2-1 against the 1-1 Timberland Guide, but that's not a trade you're happy with. He cannot really block the Wandering Wolf because it has just gotten first strike. Yeah, you see him pondering his options. Maybe trading with the 1-1 after all. Why not?
I mean, would you be thinking, I want better value out of my 2-1 defensively? You want to functionally gain more life from it than the one that you would be taking from the Timberland Guide?
You would be hoping to trade it against, for example, a 2-2 later on, but it doesn't look like Alessandro is gonna play any creatures that Peter would be happier to trade with. And it's not like the Fervent Catar is going to attack Alessandro, given that there are some first striking guys over there.
Sure.
So you might as well trade them off right now, because if you don't trade them off right now, it is very likely that you will have to trade them off a couple turns down the stretch.
So Portaro did in fact have land troubles. He did not lay a fourth land last turn. You see Driver of the Dead come down for Steinaa with his fourth turn and his fourth mana.
Of course, Peter would have the option of keeping back his Fervent Cathar to be able to double block either one of the first striking creatures, but if he would go for that route, he really opens himself up to being blown out by some instant pump spell or removal spell. So.
For sure.
So Portaro, looking over his options, seemed like he had another Timberland guide in his hand, but he is not using it to make any of his existing creatures bigger. He's just gonna make it a 2/2, such that he can block the Driver of the Dead on Peter's backswing. So now Peter has to come up with something, since he's facing 3 creatures, 2 with first strike, and he currently is not really able to make any good blocks. He'll need a bigger creature or a removal spell to get back, but it does look like he has a loaded hand with lots of spells.
Yep. We're going to see Stone Right come down.
No, that's Kroon Striker.
Oh, Kroon Striker, yeah.
Yep. The 2/1 that gets bigger when you play additional creatures, but yeah, not really the best of things that you can do in this particular situation.
At least he has the chance. The Kroon Striker only costing 2 means that if he splits the way that those 2 creatures die, when the Driver of the Dead dies, he can get the Kroon Striker back.
True. He might be able to use that profitably, but he still has...
Doesn't have much time, does he?
And his blocks are still gonna be a bit tough.
Yeah, I got you 7.
Yeah, he can trade off his Kroon Striker against the Timberland Guide, and then we'll get it back later on, but he's still taking 4 damage a turn due to the Soulbound team. And he couldn't really, he could try to double block one of the bigger threats of Alessandro, but then there would still be the threats of say, a pump spell that,
So,
although perhaps if I was Peter, I might have considered actually double blocking maybe the Wandering Wolf or the Henry Lancer. If Alessandro does have a pump spell, at least you get a 2-drop back from the graveyards.
Crypt Creeper then for Steinaa. Portaro continuing to dictate the pace of this second game of round 13. 2 more after this before we cut to the top 8. And these 2 on 28 points, knowing that 3 wins here, 31, 34, 37 points, give them an excellent chance of making the top 8.
I think I see a Thatcher Revolt lurking in Alessandro's hand, which he doesn't really have any of the nice combos with currently on the board, stuff like Kroon Striker or something. But with your opponent, with your opponent at 7 life, getting in with 3 1/1 creatures can make all the difference, because you don't need to deal him many points of damage anymore. In fact, playing Thatcher Revolt and then attacking with all creatures would not be a bad play in this situation. Peter does not really have good blocks to deal with that.
I mean, he trades a Crypt Creeper for a third of a Thatcher Revolt. He puts a Driver of the Dead in front of something big, then takes still a large amount of his life total goes away. The Driver would die, he'd get Kroon Striker back.
Yeah, the pace of this game is really decided by the hand rear lancer. The first strike ability is really huge, allowing Alessandro's creatures to basically survive any brawl with Peter's.
Yep. So Thatcher Revolt it is. Here come the little guys, humans to the red zone.
Yep, and there they go. And now Peter, he doesn't really have any really good blocks. He can try to double block the Wandering Wolf or the hand rear lancer, hoping to kill off one of them. He can also put his Driver of the Dead in front of, say, a Goblin token, but then the Crypt Keeper cannot really do anything useful. Either way, it's not a good position to be in.
It's miserable, isn't it?
Definitely.
Really.
I'm guessing his best option would be to double block one of the first strikers after all, but that's not what he goes for.
So the first striker would see Crypt Keeper die, but instead he sacrifices it to get rid of a Timberland Guide out of the graveyard. Then one Thatcher Revolt token will die to the driver, the other two will go away at what is now end of turn. So, hello.
Now it makes sense. Yeah, that explains his play. He wants to block in such a way to make sure he will keep one creature on the board. And now attacking for 6 points with lifelink. Wow.
So off we go again. Let's have the discussion. Nothing beats Homicidal Seclusion. Fact or fiction? Let's find out.
Wouldn't say nothing beats it.
Well, races it.
Well, some first striking power will be able to deal with it, because Alessandro is now going to sit back on his creatures. He won't be able to erase the Driver of the Dead. So in that respect, Homicidal Seclusion does have an amazing effect on the game. But Alessandro does have 4 power per the first strike, which Peter still cannot really get through, despite the Homicidal Seclusion.
Sure.
He will need a removal spell for the hand rear lancer to get around that.
So he's up to 6 mana and 3 cards in what's turning into an absorbing game 2.
I want to return.
Grave Exchange. Okay, what would you like to sacrifice? Well, the little guy you just had, which wasn't as big a threat as it might have been. The Scalding Devil, with only 4 mana open for Portaro, he wasn't really going to be able to whittle Steinaa away to nothing.
Yeah, and he cannot afford to sacrifice any of his other creatures and break the soul bond at this point in the game. Seems like Portaro is sitting with a bunch of cards he's not able to cast at the moment. I think I'm seeing a Howlgeist, a Geist Trappers, maybe some double red cards as well. But still, as long as Peter only has some creatures, he won't be able to get past the first striking team, giving Alessandro lots of time to draw the lands he needs to cast the big impact spells.
Well, looks like Steinaa just passing the turn. Portaro draws.
It's not a land.
But it is a main phase play. It's a Falcon Wrath Exterminator.
You know, that card is really good, but it's much better on turn 2 than on turn... Well, what turn is this even? Yeah.
Turn lots. Steinaa just checks exactly what that's doing.
At the moment, not much.
Not much.
It's a 1/1. He's going to attack.
And now,
did he draw a
dare we say that there's something lurking in
Yeah, now Alessandro's alarm bells must be going off. Like, what's going on here? Deathwind, probably, he must think. Because Peter would not just mindlessly send his creature into the first striking team there. Although it might have been a masterful bluff, actually, but I doubt this.
It's a hell of a bluff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey, I just thought I'd run into your pair of 4 first strikers. Yes, that doesn't I mean, like you say, it's a monster bluff if it is.
5.
Having not done it for so many turns, and then, there we are, there's my hits a land. But I'll just pile in anyway.
Would be amazing if that's actually the case. I don't think we've gotten a good look at Peter's hand, but...
I so want him not to have a trick.
Yeah, Alessandro is mulling it over.
Yeah.
Because if Peter does have the dead wind, well, what Alessandro could do is to block with all 3 of his creatures. Then if Peter has dead wind for, say, the Henry or Lancer, all his 2 remaining creatures still trade against the driver of the dead, but yeah, then you don't have first strike anymore, and your opponent has homicidal seclusion, some other creatures.
So the first creature that comes down is huge and life linked.
So indeed, Alessandro decides not to block, taking basically the 12-point life swing.
Wow. We have to find out if he had a trick.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, well, that went well. I'll just pass. Is it? Or is he going to lay a land first? No, here we go. And replay the airs that he got earlier. And now Butcher Ghoul. Okay.
That's interesting. Giving up the homicidal seclusion right now. Is Peter thinking that he needs to block, possibly?
Portaro with 3 cards finally gets to mana number 5. Not to be confused with Malmo number 5, which is something slightly different. Geist Trappers will pair up with Falcon Wrath Exterminator. So both of those have reach, not currently relevant. Not especially likely to be against black-red, historically. Not an awful lot of cards that interact with that. Searchlight Geist would be one.
Okay, can block.
And
Fervent Catar making sure that Henry Lancer cannot block.
And now, the Intimidating will come in. And Alessandro says, yeah, I'm going to get in the way of that. My Falcon Wrath Exterminator is not doing anything else this game, really.
Yeah, the Fervent Catar together with the Intimidate creature together explain why Peter decided to play additional creatures despite having homicidal seclusion in play. Because, well, if you can get like an additional Intimidate guy, that can grow pretty big. Together, that's like another way to win the game. Despite that, well, on the next turn, his Intimidate creature is still going to run into the Henry Lancer, so it still cannot get past it. And unless Peter has something good, yeah, it's just gonna come down to a creature stall, nevertheless. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Peter actually did not have the Deathwind at that stage in the game. It really was just a bluff.
A stone cold bluff. Wow.
Okay, spoke too soon.
Well, there's a Deathwind there, sure. This Handwheel Lancer bites the dust. Steinaa untaps. We may not be far away because there's some Intimidate action going on.
Yeah, now the Intimidate does play a role because all red creatures are gone, so Heirs of Stromkirk can now attack unopposed. His other creatures, yeah, Peter will just run them right into Alessandro, so those cannot really profitably attack into Geist Trappers. But Intimidate, a nice ability for sure.
6 and I count. Go.
And passing the turn. So Alessandro will have to figure out a way to deal with his opponent's Heirs of Stromkirk, either by playing a red creature or maybe a burn spell. Because going for the damage race given the life totals, is unlikely to work.
How about an Airs of Strongkirk? It's a start.
It's a start, but it's 2-2, and when you compare it to Peter's copy of it, which already has a +1/+1 counter on it, not big enough.
Yeah, Alessandro also has just green mana left. Oh, Bone Splinters. Nice. Get my Butcher Ghoul back with Undying. Intimidates clear again. Now here's Bloodflow Connoisseur. Oh boy, check it out.
Wow.
Check it out.
Oh, this is gonna be awesome.
This is going to be foolishly good. And they're just checking how the mana works. But
it's a mana
yeah.
answer.
Okay, here we go. Wait a minute.
5 creatures right
I'm
now.
going to sacrifice it to the Bloodflow Connoisseur.
4 left.
Put a counter on there. I'm going to sacrifice this to the
3
Bloodflow
left.
Connoisseur. And this. I'm going to get
And oh my god, it's so hungry it eats itself. Yep, and that's the match.
Okay, that's an actual
Only 1 creature
God's
left.
honest round of applause. Isn't Magic great? We're so glad to be able to bring things like that to you live on GG's Live and MagicTheGathering.com. Oh, that was the play of the day.